travel experiences from around the world. Having loaded my bike with my tent and all the necessary camping equipment, I began in Athens and moved south, wanting within 4 to 5 days to explore Mani in the Peloponnese. This was quite a familiar trip because I had visited the north part of Mani several times in the past. The distance from Athens to Kalamata, where I made my first stop, is 235 kilometers and takes about 2 hours and 20 minutes to reach. The route to Kalamata is all highway, and you must pass 8 toll stations. Kalamata, in my opinion, is a very beautiful city. It is the second largest in the Peloponnese after Patra, and is very lively throughout the year with an intense nightlife. During the winter, people gather in the historical center, while in the summer they go to the beach and Verga, a suburb situated at the foot of Mount Kalathi. Here you will find charming cafes, restaurants, bars, and clubs with a spectacular view of the bay and the city. Over the 3-kilometer span of beach, you will find some quiet spots, as well as other areas with cafes, beach bars, and restaurants. It has thick sand and is the only city of this size in Greece where people can enjoy the beach. Visitors from abroad reach Kalamata directly via its international airport and start their tour of southern Peloponnese from here. I leave the city behind, exiting from the east and heading south to Kardamili, the main town in the municipality of West Mani. It is a 35-kilometer distance from Kalamata and located on the seafront, west of Mount Taygetos. It's a very beautiful and picturesque village, with houses made of stone and clay-tiled roofs. It has a small port, but not a beach for swimming, because it is surrounded by rocks. In Kardamili, you will find beautiful traditional cafes and taverns, and 2 bars where you can have a drink. Just over 7 kilometers south, you will find the village of Stupa, a beautiful settlement that was originally a small fishing village, but has now become a famous tourist resort. The village has 3 sandy beaches with crystal clear water. The main beach is full of cafes, restaurants, and taverns, while in the northern part you will find a nice lounge bar to have a drink at in the evening. A little further north is Kalogria, one of the famous beaches of the area, where it is usually very crowded. Here you will find charming cafes and taverns. More information can be found at tripman.net. I stayed 2 days in Stupa, as I wanted to explore the nearby mountain villages and the surrounding area. If you like camping, just above Kalogria beach, you will find a good campsite, where I have stayed 3 times. I started my mountainous route from the village of Pyrgos, which means tower, and is located southwest of Stupa. The village is built on a hill with incredible panoramic views, where during Turkish occupation, it functioned as an observation post. It's a rather picturesque village with beautiful houses. From Pyrgos, I headed north to Castagna, a village hidden between three slopes of Mount Taygetos, and is hard to notice, even when you get really close. It is quiet and picturesque, and the old rooftops, where they still exist, are made of stone slabs. In Castagna, there are many remarkable Byzantine churches with excellent hagiographic murals. One of the main attractions is the fountain with the huge walnut tree, as well as Dourakis Tower, where Kolokotronis, a hero of the Greek Revolution against the Ottomans, once stayed. Castagna has about 85 residents, but after midday, the cafe and the tavern in the main paved square attracts many people from the surrounding areas. I continued north with a stunning view of the Messinian Bay on my left, wanting to head to Vasilikis Forest. The route is very beautiful, and I enjoyed it, as I do whenever I'm in the mountains. At some point, you will see a big sign for the forest, where you must turn right onto a dirt road which leads to it. The road is quite easy, even for those who aren't used to riding on dirt roads. Leaving the forest behind, I headed to Exochori. My next stop will be at Hotel Faragi, where I will drink a coffee and enjoy the view of Taygetos' peaks and Viros Gorge from a distance. Then I began my descent to the coast, where the road led me just before Kardamili. There I turned left to head to my base camp in Stupa. The next morning, I started moving south, wanting to explore the Lakonian region of Mani. The first village after Stupa is called Agios Nikolaos, which is famous for its taverns. A fishing village with beautiful traditional houses and picturesque streets. Agios Nikolaos has the only nightclub in the area, so people come and stay here until the late hours of the night. As you are leaving Agios Nikolaos southward, you will come across a beach called Padazi, with tall trees providing shade and a tavern where you can eat or have a coffee. I wanted to find the main road to Areopoli, so I headed to the village of Platza. It's a traditional settlement with a picturesque square, where in the past it was the largest village in Mani. After Plaza, I found the main road and headed south. On my way, I passed through a few beautiful villages such as Platanos and Lagada. Moving south, the road narrows and the wild bushy scenery replaces the lush green of Mount Taygetos. One of the most impressive parts I passed on my route was the area after Itilon, where I descended the mountain and enjoyed a breathtaking view from the top. After a while, I arrived at Neo Itilo, and 3 kilometers later, the village of Limeni, the most beautiful village I visited during my trip. Limeni today is one of the most famous resorts in Mani. Although there is no beach, people enjoy swimming by diving from the rocks into the blue water. The fish taverns here are famous for their cuisine, attracting people from the surrounding area. If you find yourself in Mani, Limeni is worth a visit, even for just a coffee. Just 8 kilometers south and on a small plateau, you will find Areopoli, a historic settlement which remains until today picturesque and unspoiled. Unique features include the stone-built houses and the churches with amazing frescoes from the 18th century. Areopoli had retained its independence during the Turkish occupation, and according to history, the first armed groups that started the revolution assembled here on March 17, 1821. Even though this was the third time I visited this village, unfortunately my schedule once again didn't allow me to stay overnight, although I would have liked it very much. Walking through the narrow streets of Areopoli, you will find beautiful and stylish bars, cafes, and taverns that really make you want to sit and enjoy them. Unfortunately, I had to move on once again, as I wanted to make my next stop in the unique cave in Diros. The cave's name is Vlichada and is considered as the most beautiful lake cave in the world. Its existence was known by locals since 1900, but no one expected the beauty that was hidden inside. The water is brackish, with a temperature of about 14 degrees Celsius, while the air ranges from 16 to 19 degrees Celsius. The natural entrance has a diameter of only half a meter and is very close to sea level. In the past, the cave had more entrances, which gradually closed up. Inside, fossilized bones from panthers, hyenas, lions, deer, martens, and hippopotamus have been discovered. Ceramics have also been found near the natural entrance, which suggest a human presence. Its total length stretches 6,000 meters, and even though in the past it used to be land, over the centuries the water level rose, thus the formations of stalactites resembling white columns coming out of the water. The tour by boat takes about 45 minutes, costs 12 euros, and leaves visitors speechless. My next stop is in Yerolimenas, one of the most beautiful and traditional seaside villages of Laconia. Under Turkish rule, it was one of the bases of operations for Mani pirates, and in its subsequent history, it was an important fishing port. Today, Yerolimenas is a famous resort in Mani with many traditional restaurants, cafes, and tourist accommodations that attract large numbers of visitors all year round. Continuing south, after Yerolimenas, you will come across the last gas station for many kilometers, so it is advisable to refuel if you don't have enough. The route from this point on winds through wild landscape, which reminded me of the Cycladic Islands. My next stop was in Vathia, the most photographed area of Mani, and an outdoor architectural monument that stands dominantly on a hilltop. It is an abandoned settlement of around 150 buildings, in which the first references to it were in the 16th century. In 1979, the village had only 11 residents, while electricity came here only in 1980. I continued south, wanting to reach the most southerly point of mainland Greece, Cape Tenaro. I rode in absolute tranquility, capturing beautiful images in my mind, creating a bittersweet melancholy. Before arriving here, I took a short detour to see Marmari Beach, which looks rather impressive from afar, a sandy beach oasis in the rocky landscape of wild Mani. Continuing for about 3.5 kilometers south, I arrived at Cape Tenaro. This was considered as the gates of Hades by the ancient Greeks, or the underworld after death. They believed that in a small and isolated cave, necromancy, or communication with the dead, occurred. If you like hiking, you can take the path that ends after 45 minutes of walking to the lighthouse of Acrotenaro, a structure from 1822, which marks the southern end of the Balkan Peninsula. Now moving north, I wanted to stop for lunch at Portocaio, a fishing village built on a natural port, which due to its beauty is a major attraction in Mani. Leaving Portocaio behind, I came across a beautiful panoramic view, so I stopped to take some photos. Here, I made some new friends who were extremely playful with me and my bike. Luckily, I saw their mother after I had begun to leave, because I'm not sure she would have liked our friendship. The road is very impressive heading north to East Mani, as I was riding at a high altitude with fantastic views. On this side of Mani, there are only a few trees here and there, as opposed to the southwest side, where there are only shrubs. From Portocaio, I rode about 32 kilometers north to my next stop in Flomochori, a traditional and beautiful village in East Mani, with stone-built houses and tall towers. It was here where I met Kyriakos, who invited me to his tower to see what it's like inside.
Όπως είδες κάτω στα 3 μέτρα γράφει 1811. Στη μέση γράφει 1833. Λοιπόν, όλη η περίοδο εδώ στη Μάνη, τουλάχιστον στο χωριό μας ήταν από το 1810 μέχρι το 1845-1850. Τσιμέντο δεν υπήρχε τότε, το τσιμέντο είχε εργαστεί νομίζω το 1890-1892. Το ασβέστη λοιπόν που έχει χτιστεί ξαναγίνεται πέτρα και αντί για τσιμέντο υπήρχε ένα υλικό, νομίζω το λέγανε πριτσίνι, κάτι τέτοιο. Πιστεύω ότι είναι ο πιο ψηλός στη Μάνη, από όσο το έχω δει τουλάχιστον, είναι 18 μέτρα πάνω σε αυτός και 2 πατώματα στον διάμεσο. Δηλαδή καμάρα, πάτωμα, καμάρα, πάτωμα, καμάρα και βγαίνουμε στο έξω πάνω. Από κάτω λοιπόν είναι 18 μέτρα. Η πυρία αυτή είναι όλοι πολεμικοί. Τους είχαν περισσότερο για βεντέτες, για πειρατές, γιατί εδώ πέρα δεν είχαμε ούτε πόλεμο, είχαμε ούτε Τούρκους, είχαμε, όπως είπαμε, από το 1810 μέχρι το 1845. Περισσότερο όμως για βεντέτες ήταν. Το κάθε σόι, ένα σόι βέβαια αποτελεί από διάφορες οικογένειες, είχαν τον πύργο τους. Ο πύργος μέσα έχει στέρνα, δεξαμενή με νερό και φούρνο. Οπότε μπορούσαν να πολεμάνε ένα χρόνο. Άμα είχαν σφαίρες, ας πούμε, νερό υπήρχε, ψωμί υπήρχε, κάτω αρχίζει ο πύργος από ένα 20 πλάτος και καταλήγει πάνω στους 55 πόντους. Όσο ανεβαίνει ο πύργος, το ισόγειο είναι 980 τετραγωνικά και καταλήγει πάνω σε 7 τετραγωνικά. Αν προσέξεις, άμα βάζεις το χέρι και στην τέμπα, ξέρω σου πω, θα βλέπεις να ανεβαίνει δροσερός ένας. Αυτό λέγεται ζαρματίστρα. Δηλαδή, αν είχαν μείνει από σφαίρες και έρχονταν εχθρός να μπει από το παράθυρο, αυτή η τρύπα κατεβαίνει κάτω, του είχαν ζεστό νερό ή ζεστό λάδι και του ρίχνανε μπορεί να μπει και το λένε ζαρματίστρα. Το είχαν για να κρατάει δροσερό το νερό, το γάλα, ας πούμε.
Εδώ οι Τούρκοι δεν μπήκαν ποτέ.
Εδώ, ούτε όχι οι Τούρκοι μόνο δεν ήρθανε. Δεν ήρθαν και οι Γερμανοί, όχι οι Γερμανοί δεν ήρθαν γιατί φοβηθήκαν τους Μανιάτες. Οι Γερμανοί όπου δεν πήγε αυτοκίνητο, οι Ιταλοί λούσαν εδώ. Δηλαδή μέχρι την ώρα που είχε αυτοκίνητο, πήγανε οι Γερμανοί. Από εδώ, σε εμάς, από εδώ για πλέον μέρα, οι Ιταλοί. Είπαμε όμως οι Γερμανοί δεν ήρθαν γιατί δεν έρχονταν αυτοκίνητο, γιατί ήταν στους Ιταλούς. Ούτε οι Γερμανοί ήρθαν. Οι Ιταλοί ερχόντουσαν με καΐκια, με βενζίνες, ας πούμε, με τα πόδια, αλλά ήταν και οι Ιταλοί, δεν δημιουργήσαν προβλήματα. Και δεν θα βουτήξουν κανένα κοκόρα να φάνε και τέτοια. Οι Γερμανοί δεν ήρθαν εδώ.
My route continued on to the northeast area. I passed through the village of Kotronas and continued on to Githio. I took a detour to see Mavrovouni Beach, as it is a popular tourist resort in the area. Here you will find many beach bars and restaurants, and even many accommodation options, such as campsites, hotels, and rooms to let. Githio is located just 3 kilometers up the road. It is a beautiful town reminiscent of an island village, and lies along the beach at the eastern foot of Mount Larisios. Githio is very picturesque because of the classical buildings and houses which, combined with the fishing boats in the harbor, creates beautiful scenery. It's worth taking a walk on the waterfront, which is full of taverns, restaurants, cafes, and bars. port often receives cruise ships, as it is a connection point to the islands of Kythera and Antikythera. This is where I conclude my tour of Manu, a short trip which nonetheless contains so many different scenes and images that I felt I had been all over Greece. Mountains, forests, sea, nature, interesting acquaintances, and many wonderful experiences.